Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of an Involved Review. I am your host, James Caleb Kitchens. Those are my cats terrorizing each other in the background, and I'm here with none other than the maitre d' of the Stovall Wrestling Network, the man that watches more wrestling content than anyone in the known universe. He has his AEW hat on. My beard is missing. Caleb Stovall, welcome back to the show.
What's going on, man? That is right. I consume more wrestling than anyone. I consume more so that I actually watch the WCW 2000. And
Oh,
that's
Jesus
named
Christ.
something.
Well, someone's got to do it so that we all know it's still bad.
Yes.
So every so often, you're the guy, the one guy on earth that has to go in there and go, okay, we all remember this as being awful, but let's just make sure it still is and terrible.
Yes.
All right, cool.
But hey, there's some that are totally entertained by it.
Somebody is gonna have to do that for Game of Thrones in the future. They'll have to do that for season 8. So as you guys know, I'm constantly trying to get my beard to look as nice as it does in the amazing artwork that we have there from Jack Howard Jr. But the artwork is incredibly inaccurate now because, as you can see, in my attempts to try to get it to look that way, it is gone. So the thing is, thankfully, these are all recorded well ahead of time because we have very rigorous schedules, and so by the time you watch this, the beard will be back. So
Oh, nice.
there is that. There is that one little tidbit of it. So today we're talking about, Ring of Honor Pure. We're going to finish up round 1 of the tournament. I'm super excited about it. But as we have done with all these episodes, we're going to talk about a few current events. And I say current because we do film this stuff, well ahead of time. One of the things that we covered previously and something that's continued to be a hot topic is the WWE Network Peacock deal.
Yes.
Over the weekend, I went to an indie show. I went to, I'll give them a shout out. I went to Southern Honor Wrestling here in Georgia. I hung out with Nick McDaniel from the Tapped Out Wrestling podcast, and we talked about a bit about this deal, and they've been talking about it a good bit every week on their show. And I look at this, and a lot of known wrestling people that have pretty solid wrestling opinions, have been talking down on this deal. And for me, I'm somebody that doesn't watch the main product, and I can't go 30 minutes without telling somebody that when they start talking about it to me. They're like, "Hey, did you see such and such on Raw?" And I'm like, "I haven't watched an episode of Raw in like 70 episodes of Raw." I don't know what the fuck they're doing. But
Right.
Here's the thing. I can look at this deal and tell that it's brilliant for both sides. This is like that deal where, there's only really good outcomes for everybody. Now, what I'm hearing through the grapevine is that this is ultimately a play for NBC to purchase WWE. And that's not a stretch because if you look at the deal, right, it's for 5 years.
Right.
At the end of that 5 years, unless it's just a wash, they're going to buy them, if not sooner. Because it's already content for their networks. They can cut the Fox deal off and just put all of WWE stuff on their own networks. There's no way at the end of 5 years Vince goes, "All right, cool," and takes his ball and goes home, if he's even still at the company in 5 years, and just says, "All right, well, we're going to start the network back up." They're not going to shut down the network's infrastructure just to have to start from scratch and do it all over again in 5 years. It's not going to happen. Unless this is a wash, unless it's just a terrible business deal for everyone, especially NBC.
Right.
NBC is going to buy them.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. But I think also the questions that I have don't even necessarily have to deal with the network because I mentioned it on the last episode when we talked about the Peacock deal that they have they have like NBC Sports Network, right? And they're going to shut that down. And that's going to come over, I guess, to the Peacock system as well.
Right.
But what that does though is NBC has a deal with the NHL. And I bring this up because the NHL does their big games on Wednesday nights.
Right.
which, as you know, is the time slot for NXT. So how will that affect NXT?
I mean, they're going to bump it. That's definitely what's going to happen
Yeah.
either way. They're going to bump it. And I mean, we all know that, and I'm pretty sure they know that too. And really, I think this 5 year deal is really just there for NBC to get used to working with WWE and getting used to everybody there and seeing really, because part of any deal, you got to think Vince McMahon is going to say, I want guaranteed parachutes for Shane, Stephanie, Triple H,
Yeah.
right? And so, a lot of those deals would look something like, let's just say this is kind of a different genre, but let's just say, Microsoft's recent acquisition of Bethesda Softworks. Todd Howard got a certain deal where if he gets a kickback off of the sale, and then also since he's been with the company for like 40 years, and he's known as like the face of Bethesda, if he stays for 6 years, he gets a massive kick of stock and money.
Right.
And so that's the kind of deal where that they would want for like Stephanie or Triple H or somebody to say, hey, you're guaranteed a job. And if you stay for this amount of time, then we're going to give you a nice golden parachute. You get a big, sack of money, whatever. That's what he's going to be looking to get for the people that he really cares about, which I think would be just those three people.
Yeah, I could see that. And also, I'm surprised a lot of people are saying that, this deal is going to be a bust, because I'm sitting there just like, I mean, NBC has all of this content that they have. And of course, their most popular show that's been off the air for years now, it's still like everyone still binge watches this show, The Office.
Right.
So, I mean, so you've got the people that watch The Office, and then they've got the shows like The Big Bang Theory as well. That's theirs. I'm not sure if they'll, put Friends on or something like that. I know they've got like Two and a Half Men and stuff like that
Community
on.
belongs to them.
Yeah,
I know Yahoo aired the last season, but I think ultimately the streaming rights reside with NBC. So
yes.
um, a lot of people love Community. That's a Dan Harmon. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, yeah. On the side of Community, a lot of people don't know that Dan Harmon, who's the creator of Rick and Morty, is also the creator of that show. And the principal directors on Community are the Russo brothers, which just made a little independent film called Avengers Endgame. It made a little bit of money,
Yeah,
and
it made some splash. Not much though, right?
yeah, a couple dollars. Um, so with that being said, they can use that to market it, and a lot of the genius that all of those people I just mentioned carried onto their later products is on display in that show. Um, and that's the thing though, is with Peacock, that's the real problem though, is okay, you have all this legacy content that people will put on in the background and sit on their cell phones. Got it. Cool. But you can't, I mean, obviously that's not the only part of the market they want, right?
Right.
So they need original content. If WWE can give them 5, 6, 7 hours of original content every week,
Which
then, right. And I mean, here's the thing. Here's what NBC would do, in my opinion.
uh-huh.
You completely shut out house shows. No house shows. Instead of you go and wrestle 6 times a week, it's okay, you're going to be at Raw Monday. If there's a pay per view Sunday, you're going to be there. The rest of the time, we're going to pay you to work out. We're going to send you to do photo shoots. We're going to send you to do meet and greets. We're going to send you to do documentaries. You're going to do, you might go commentate over, one of your matches for the network or something like that. That's the sort of thing, like things that aren't going to cripple and break these guys, that they can do to still generate revenue for the company, which
Right.
would ultimately is going to end in positive outcomes across the board. If NBC buys them, NBC can't get away with the shit WWE has done for decades. It's not a carniac then. They're going to have to get health insurance and all that stuff. And then the wrestlers' well-beings are going to be part of their bottom line.
So no,
Um,
I mean that sounds like a better deal.
Right. I mean, it is. And the thing about this too is I realize that I am well out of being the target demo for WWE, and so are you. I mean, wrestling fans are not the people they're after.
They never
It's
have been.
they have been, but not in a long time.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Not a very long time. And the thing about it too is you look at the content that they're putting out, and you're like, they are trying to attract the everyday like average viewer, right? And then they're also chasing the coveted new viewer, where you get somebody that's just channel surfing, which I don't know how much of that goes on. I don't really have a lot of like insight into like what like normal people do, I guess. But I don't know how many people channel just flip through channels anymore. But you know, that's the thing is like in the TV industry, the old way of thinking was always okay. If I got somebody that's just channel surfing, they're just flipping through on their remote and they see my product, how do I get that person to buy in?
Right.
And if you look at it through that lens, Raw and SmackDown are 5 hours worth of advertising for WWE Network and whatever products that buy ad space on those. That's what they
Right.
are.
Right.
And NBC is going to see it as that, as well as content. But I mean, you want the content to drive the ad revenue.
Yeah, I think my question about this NBC deal, though, as well, and I think I brought it up last episode as well, is what about the classic content, such as WCW, ECW, all of those in ring shows, like even the NWA and stuff like that. And then some of the classic content that's not on there yet. I mean, they still haven't even put out, all of the Saturday nights, the WCW Saturday nights, which is what I'm waiting for, by the way. I'm still waiting on that because that was where I really fell in love with wrestling, was that 605 WCW Saturday night back in the day. And I want to see that on the network. But is that now going to be affected? Are they going to care to put that on there? And then two, this Peacock deal, it's only in the US.
Right.
So the network still is going to be around overseas. So it's a very interesting dynamic right there, and stuff like that. And,
I,
and I'm curious how that's going to work.
I think it will be around. I think the old content definitely will carry over. I don't know if they're going to be as, focused on putting the older content on there that's not already on there. But if it's already on there, yeah, that's, they're going to pay somebody to come in because I doubt NBC has the in-house talent to do this because it's specialized, right? But just knowing what I know from working in the IT industry, they're going to pay an outside company to come in and migrate all of that content from the existing platform of the network to actually place it all on NBC's network. So they're going to do that. I mean, I could get way into the weeds on that because like
Right.
file transfer is what I do at a corporate level is what I do for a living. So I could talk to you about it for 6 hours, but no one would be watching, and you would probably be over there asleep. But that's probably what they're going to do is bring in like an integration team that they'll pay bukus of money to spend whatever amount of time doing this. Um,
There's also another point that I want to bring up, which is, you know, should they have waited and not gone with NBC and gone with Disney? Because,
well,
to me, that might have been a better deal.
I have heard that Disney put an offer on the table. Um, I want to say it was around the 2.5 billion mark.
Of course.
But Disney wanted no strings attached, right? They wanted, and this is all like through the grapevine. I've heard it from a few different people. I don't know how plugged in those people are. So take it with a grain of salt. But I've heard that I've heard two, I've heard 2.5, I've heard three, and I've heard that. But all of them have said that Disney wanted, you know, basically what they did with Star Wars. If we buy it, it's ours, and you get nothing after that. Vince McMahon has no say. Triple H, if Triple H wants to stay around, he'll have to prove his worth. Stephanie McMahon, same thing. Shane McMahon, same thing.
Oh,
Vince
well,
would probably be gone.
there's no
Right,
way in hell that was going to happen.
right, exactly. And that's why I don't think it'll be a Disney thing. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon can't work for Disney.
No,
They just can't.
no.
because they won't be able to deal with like a corporate entity above them coming and saying you have to do XYZ, and I just don't see it working. I don't see them wanting to keep any of that staff around, and I don't think it's a good fit for Disney. I
No,
I really don't. I really don't want. At least with NBC, there's a chance that we might get an edgier product. I don't really want Disney to put the PG stuff on the network. I really don't want to log into Disney Plus and see all the logos up there and then have the WWE logo up there.
yeah,
Um, I just don't. I
I
just
can.
don't want it.
Yeah, and I can see that. And NBC has had WWE both ways, basically. I mean, they've had the PG product and they've had the rated R product. The Attitude Era, USA. It was their number one show on USA at one point. So and I think NBC, to your point, will let them run WWE the way that they want to. They will still allow them to present the storylines. They'll still, let them push whoever they want to push, which can be a good or bad thing these days.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think it is a better fit. I think that, and plus, Vince McMahon already had a relationship with NBC going back years ago, with Dick Ebersol,
Yeah. And
who
and
I don't think he's there anymore with NBC, is he?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Um, but the thing about that too is no matter who buys them, you're going to see massive roster cuts because no major company is going to keep people under contract simply to keep them from going to another promotion. That's
Yep.
some old school carny wrestling bullshit.
Yes.
They're not going to engage in that.
And, some people might think, well, that's terrible. That's a bad thing. To me, that opens the door then for not only AEW, but Ring of Honor, New Japan, MLW. Now there's all this talent. And, back in the day, even like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, if people got released, it was, oh, how am I going to make money? I'm not going to make any money now doing this on the independents and stuff like that. But that's not the case anymore. Now
No.
there is places to go. There, like I said, there's AEW, but then there's also Ring of Honor, MLW, and everything like that. So there's more opportunities out there, which can only be a good thing for the professional wrestling business.
Right. I mean, a lot of these guys, if they've just been on like on Raw, SmackDown, whatever, at a decent rate, they can command a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they go overseas. But even now, you can make money on the indies. You have to be smart, and you have to either get an agent or be very like thorough with your schedule and your bookings. But you can make it happen. It definitely. This day and age, like this is a terrible example, but Alberto Del Rio made a very good living on the
Yeah.
indies. Just
Cody.
as one example. Yeah, Cody said, he was making more on the Indies than he was making when he was still at the Fed. So it is what it is. I think that we're going to see a lot of changes over the next 2 years, just as it pertains to all of that. But you have to look at it and think, shit is about to go down
Yeah.
with WWE, and there are going to be massive cuts and there are going to be changes. But I think that works out for everybody, man. I think if they stop doing house shows, they take better care of the talent, they release these guys that are just sitting around. That's going to help their product too, because they're still giving most of these dudes a little bit of screen time. Right, so they're not just sitting around. They're still doing stuff, and it's watering down the product to have 700 people on the roster.
Yeah, and especially when you're not using any of them. And again, I'm sitting there just like, you have 3 hours on Monday, you have 2 hours on Friday, and then you have 3 hours on Wednesday, and then you have a whole network. Like, how do you not have something for people?
Right. Well,
So,
you just water it down so much. That's what they've
right.
done.
And I think too, it might help with, and I don't even know why we call them pay-per-views anymore, but it might help with the special events. You
Right.
know, maybe we won't see, for example, Roman Reigns every single week on TV, because back in the day, you remember when Nitro and even Raw was like really hot and everything like that, you would barely see Hulk Hogan. You know, you would barely see Sting, but when you did see them, it made it more special. And then therefore, when it came time for the pay-per-views, it was like, oh, I've got to watch this because now I can actually see them wrestle, kind of thing. I can actually
Right.
see them fight. And that's what WWE has lost so much over the years with just putting so much content, especially when they ixnayed the brand split for a while and it just became like two different shows. And I'm sitting there just going, man, this is the same exact thing. Like, I remember one time they had SmackDown where it was Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles as the main event. Amazing main event, obviously. But they started off the show acting like those two were going to fight. And then the New Day came out and challenged them to a tag match. So it was, they had to wrestle in a tag match and then they had to do a main event. And I'm sitting there going, man, that's just too much. Like
Yeah.
that's just, because by the time they came out for the main event, everyone was just like, we already saw you.
Right.
Like we already saw it. So maybe that can help. And that's another thing I wonder. Is NBC going to cut down on the times? Are they going to say, hey, Raw needs to move now to 2 hours or whatnot?
That would be incredible. I think everybody wants 2 hour Raw. I don't think anybody has ever been fond of 3 hour Raw. I don't
No.
like just. I mean I mean, what other show is 3 hours every week?
There's not.
It doesn't exist, and there's a good fucking reason why it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And something I hinted at earlier is, we're talking about like how to draw the new viewer in. I'm glad you brought up the pay-per-views, special events, because that's my issue with AEW right now is like, what's the revenue model? Like, what is the idea of drawing in a new viewer for them? Because even if you get somebody to start watching Dynamite, it's a very large leap from, hey, watch Dynamite to pay us $50 to see these matches. And with WWE, it's very clear, right? Like, they want you to tune in to Raw or SmackDown, and then once you're there, they've got you focused. They're gonna sell you the network. This stuff you're seeing right here, it's okay, but all the stuff on the network is amazing and it's great and it's fantastic and it's just for you and you can watch whatever you want on there, and that's the deal. But with AEW, I kind of wonder what their what's the business plan? Is there a plan to make money? I mean, I would love to see the balance sheet. Uh, I want to see the ledger at AEW of how much money they're actually making. And maybe they don't care. Maybe Tony Khan doesn't give a single shit. But it makes me wonder. What is the money making mechanism over there? Because right now, if let's say I was a brand new viewer, I don't know anything about pro wrestling, and I turn in and watch AEW Dynamite.
Okay.
Okay. I see Sting. All right. I know who that is, as an average. I think that's a household name. Chris Jericho, I might know who that is. That's a household name. Most people have heard of Dusty Rhodes, so his kids are on there. And I'm not going to know what the fuck else is happening. I don't know anything about Impact, never heard of them. I don't know anything about New Japan, never heard of them. I don't know who Kenta or Hideo Itami are, either persona. Yeah, I mean, what's the grab? What's the cost of entry for a new person who's not into wrestling to start watching AEW and be a fan and be a revenue generating person for them? I don't know that there's an answer to that either one of us have, but that's what's going through my head.
Yeah, I mean, and I can see that, but I think, and I don't even know if it's necessarily strategy or anything like that, but I just think that I like the way that they do pay-per-views, because when they do a pay-per-view, it actually does feel special. It
Agreed.
looks different. It's set up different. You don't find what you find on Dynamite with it, which is what, wrestling used to be back in the day.
Right.
Um, I don't agree, and I never agreed with it, especially when you were paying $50 at the time. I never agreed with there being 2 or 3 pay-per-views in 1 month. I just
Right.
I, I just was like, there's no one that like will pay that much money, and plus you're oversaturating everything. Like it doesn't work. So I like the way AEW does in that perspective. And plus, let's not forget that the Dynamites also have their own special events.
Right.
Like currently they're in Beach Break. They did Winter is Coming and everything like that. So each Dynamite feels different and everything
Right.
like that. And obviously their strategy is, hey, we can try and get new viewers and stuff like that, but our bread and butter is going to be that professional wrestling audience, that hardcore wrestling audience. And that's the one that I feel they cater more towards too. And eventually I'm sure they'll try and branch out and get more viewers in other ways right now. Plus, everything with COVID right now has thrown everything out the window. So any plans that you had originally, well, you've got to completely shift all that around right now. Even WWE had to do that. So everything's all topsy-turvy because of COVID. But I think that, AEW, like I said, their hardcore audience is that professional wrestling fan, and that's who they want to get first before they go out and get new viewers. They want to make sure that they keep that wrestling audience, but then they can start to go out and get, more viewers. WWE though, they're like, well, we already have the wrestling audience. That's not the audience that we're trying to cater to all the time. I mean, obviously they do when they make matches such as AJ Styles versus Ricochet, or Finn Balor versus Pete Dunne. That's catering to that wrestling audience. But then you've got those storylines of, well, the Fiend with Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss is possessed, kind of thing. And that's not necessarily catering to a wrestling audience, but that, a new viewer might tune into that and be like, well, this is interesting, let me keep it here, kind of thing. Oh, wait, she's got black stuff coming out of her mouth. Hey, this is kind of interesting. It's kind of corny, but hey, this is pretty good. So I just think, like I said, I just think AEW has a different type of strategy right now. And I think that they had a better idea of what they were going to do. And then COVID obviously, just took all that out of the window. Where, as you got Ring of Honor's catering strictly to wrestling fans. They're like, if we don't have the wrestling fans, then we don't have anything. MLW the same exact way, and plus they're not on those platforms like AEW and WWE is.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree entirely. Before we get into Ring of Honor, I do want to talk about the Rumble a bit. I did check out. I did watch. I actually watched the entirety of the Rumble.
I'm very surprised.
I thought about us covering it, but as I said when we started this, there's 400 podcasts that cover the Royal Rumble. Take your pick. If you want to hear somebody bitch about it, pull up Cornette. If you want to hear some good coverage of it, Tapped Out Wrestling podcast. Check those guys out by all means. And I shared some thoughts about it on social media. Whatever. I did have a lot of thoughts about it. What I thought was interesting is, I didn't watch it until the day after. I watched half of it on Monday and I watched half of it on Tuesday. And the reason that I watched it after the last time I watched a WWE product live was Mania, and I hated it. Right. As a matter of fact, you talked about the WWE saying, we already have that core audience. I know people that haven't liked WWE, nothing they've done in 6 years, and still watch it.
Well, true.
You know, and I don't know where you buy that kind of brand loyalty, but whatever. Uh, the thing that I've caught myself doing is it used to be when I was a kid, it was like I have to watch everything live, and this is like me in my early 20s too. It's like, oh my god, I got to catch Raw tonight. There's no telling what could happen. It's going to be all over social media. I don't want to get spoiled, right?
Right.
I gotta watch the Royal Rumble live. I gotta be home to watch Mania. I gotta be home to watch SmackDown. You know, I have to watch this right now.
Right.
And now I find myself doing the exact opposite of that. And I will not devote my time. I don't have the trust in the product to devote my time to watch it live.
Right.
I don't need it live. What I will do is let them have the event. I will read the spoilers and find out if I think it's any good or not, and then I'll watch it if so. Edge winning the Royal Rumble is what turned on the red light. Okay, I'm gonna watch it, especially him winning it from the number one spot. Although I am interested to know, and I don't know if maybe you know this or not. Are they saying he's the third or the second person to ever do that?
They did say the third.
Oh well, I'll at least give him a little bit of props for that.
They will not acknowledge his name.
Oh, of course not.
But they said he was the they so all they said was Edge is the third person in history to do that next to Shawn Michaels.
Well, I'll take that over them just saying he was the second person to do it.
Yeah.
That being said, you know that caused me to tune in and look at the Rumble, and I don't want to go through it in depth, but I do, especially because by the time this airs, it's going to be like a month later. But I did want to talk, you know, just a few things about it. I thought it was the best Rumble in a long time. The Rumble's a lot of people's favorite pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I can see why, because you know, if you think about it, the Rumble's always the hardest to predict. You know,
Right.
there is no predicting it. There's been some in the past, like in 1998, you knew Austin was going to win it.
Right.
I mean, you could see that a mile away. That's not necessarily a bad thing, too, because people want to see that, you know, kind of thing. But if you look at it in past years, it's been very hard to predict who is going to win the Rumble because there's so many different ways that they could go. And the person that you think that they're looking at never ends up winning it, kind of thing.
Right.
You know, like I thought this year, I thought for sure, I thought, all right, Daniel Bryan's got this. It's going to be Daniel Bryan who's going to win the Rumble, which I would have been all for. But he didn't win. And Edge won and stuff like that. And I like that. I'll say this though about the Rumble. I cannot stand now how the heel is always just going out to the floor and waiting till the very end. Because if Randy Orton can do that, why doesn't all 30 men just do that?
I was comfortable with it because of the way that it was presented.
He was injured.
Yeah, and so he plays the injury, gets taken to the back, and then he comes back out. He was never really eliminated.
Right.
If it had been anyone else, I would have really liked it, but it's Orton, right? And I haven't been entertained by Randy Orton in probably a decade.
We disagree on Randy Orton, but
I think where's the progression in Randy in 10 years? Is he not the exact same guy today that he was 10 years ago? I just think he's phoning it in, man. I don't think he's bad. Obviously, as far as like bell to bell, the man can go out there and do what he does. It's like Ric Flair. You know, back in his heyday, he would work the same match like 50 times a year. It was what he did.
Back in the day, about Flair is the difference.
What's that?
I said no one complained about Flair back in the day, though. That's the difference.
Well, that's because Flair was doing it in front of 2,000 people, not on TV. And then he would go up the road and do it for the next 5,000, 10,000, whatever.
Right.
And then that was it. And then if it was like a nationally syndicated pay-per-view, he would do a different match. With Randy, I feel like he's just doing the same shit. And they've got this whole thing between him and Edge where they're trying to draw out this long, in-depth feud, and I liked what they did with this in the Rumble. I just wish it was not Randy Orton because I don't think that the feud between the two of them does anything for anybody. Yes, they have good ring chemistry, but go back and watch their IC title match from Vengeance in the early 2000s. That's the best match they've ever had.
Yeah.
That match very nearly, if it wasn't on my top five, I don't think it was. It was like six. You know, um, that's how
No.
long we've been doing this. I've forgotten some of the top five lists. You know, but that being said, I thought that the men's rumble was good. I loved seeing Christian in it. The fact that he's like signed a, oh yeah, he looked amazing. The fact that he signed a part-time deal to come back on a regular basis makes me like very happy, and I want to. If he's on the card, I'll watch.
Yes.
I love Christian. He's
Yes.
incredible.
I thought his best run though ever was in TNA.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, when him and AJ interacted, I lost my shit. I was like, I need an AJ Styles versus Christian match today. Book it. Book that shit.
I need him to call him the Prince of Phenomenal though in WWE.
Yeah, yeah. That I mean, just any of it. I mean, but I know they're gonna do some stupid shit. They're gonna do like Triple H and Randy Orton versus Edge and Christian.
Well,
they're gonna do that shit.
and I can see that. Which, by the way, I am not opposed to an Edge and Christian tag team reunion.
Oh, me neither. I just don't want that to be the opponents.
And I get that. And plus, I mean, why does AJ Styles have to have a fucking bodyguard? I do not understand this. He is so beyond that. Like I don't get it.
I thought it was cool for the Rumble, the way that they did it. I thought that was neat. I really like that aspect of it. My thing with AJ, like if I was going to see Edge and Christian do a reunion, I want it to be Edge and Christian versus Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. I want it to be against somebody that they can elevate.
Yes.
And that they can have a good match with. I don't want it to be guys that are of their same, I don't want to say age, but of their same like tenure in the business. I just don't. I mean, sure, whatever. Do that shit in Saudi Arabia, make $1 or whatever. But it is what it is. I know that AJ is going to be on the sidelines until he retires because he doesn't want to work a full-time schedule. He doesn't want to hold the title. It is what it is. I respect him for that. He's still the best wrestler alive, just actively doing it right now. That's not going to take that away from him. I don't want to go through because, like, I thought the Goldberg match was bad. I thought the Roman match was worse. I really don't want to spend a lot of time on those. I do want to talk about the fact that the Women's Rumble was amazing, and I thought it stole the show.
Well, real quick before we get into that, I do have to put a question mark on this. A practice ring?
Yeah, bro. That was one of the times I considered turning that shit off. When they started fighting through the arena, and then I was like, "There's another fucking ring back here."
Yeah.
What? Well, why? And then I was like,
"A practice ring that we have set up and everything." I'm like, "No, you've never had a practice ring set up."
And if you did have a practice ring back there, well, why has it got all the fucking like banners and shit on it? Wouldn't it just be like just a canvas and some poles and ropes? Like, why has it got the fucking light up LED fucking turnbuckles and the fucking like WWE ring skirts and shit on it? Why?
And then on top of that, right? This is what I mean by oversaturating the product again. They did the same exact spot that they did to set up this match, which was Reigns throwing Owens off in the exact same spot. Like, it's like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, at least have Roman go through it or something like that. But it's just, I will say this about Roman. Why the hell did he ever wear a vest? Because he looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and he sold chops through it. It was the stupidest fucking thing in wrestling. I still don't like Roman. I'll take heel Roman over anybody else. But the problem with Roman is that he's been in these main events like his entire career. Like he was in the Shield and then he was a main eventer. He never had to do anything that wasn't a main event spot,
Right.
basically. The only style match this motherfucker knows how to work is spots and finishers. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's fucking bad. It's bad every time. It's been bad for forever. And there are people that will argue with me about this. You know, Roman's good. Roman's not that bad. Dude, Roman is fucking terrible. Okay? Roman Reigns is fucking garbage. Hot fucking garbage. Vince McMahon likes him because he yells ooh ah and he's a big fucking Samoan dude. That's it. And I'm not going to pretend like he's in any way talented at this business from a wrestling standpoint, from an in-ring standpoint, from an entertainment standpoint, or from a business standpoint. The dude literally is just a big fucking guy that was handpicked, and that's it. And that's my Jim Cornette rant for this episode.
He looks like an action figure, though.
I was gonna save my Cornette rant for Tony Deppen later, but he'll get a reprieve now.
Oh God.
You know, that's my thing. But I want to. I'm so tired of WWE main events being so fucking unoriginal and so just absolutely watered down that it's just we spend the entire match setting up different scenarios for us to either do stupid spots, and I'm not a person that has a problem with spots. I think that the spots that they do are super over choreographed and are not impactful. Yeah. And then setting up finishers. No move. The only moves in WWE main events that do any damage to your opponent are tables, chairs, whatever, weapon use, and finishers. Nothing else does any damage.
And sometimes those don't even do enough, apparently.
It's fucking stupid, and it makes the whole product look stupid.
I agree. I agree completely. That was one of my problems with this last man standing matchup was they had several false finishes. Like even when Reigns threw him off of the balcony or stands or whatnot, I'm sitting there just like, well, that should be the finish. It wasn't. He got ran over by a car. That wasn't the finish.
That was a fucking cool spot, though.
It was.
I gotta say, Owens sold the shit out of that. I think he just really hit him with the car.
He probably did, but that wasn't the finish.
Right, exactly. It ruined it entirely. And you know the Goldberg McIntyre match was whatever. At least it was short. It was the same thing though. It's that same cringy hit a bunch of finishers nonsense. Hate it.
And McIntyre is so much better than that.
Agreed. We're running kind of long here, so I want to talk about the Women's Rumble. We'll get into Ring of Honor. Women's Rumble stole the show. Okay. Yeah. Haven't seen Mania since I haven't seen WWE since Mania, right? So Bayley's new gimmick was I thought it was good that they're kind of going with the Karen thing for her. I loved that Charlotte was used sparingly. I thought that they all told a really good story. And I was really happy with Bianca Belair winning.
That was something I didn't, though, expect. I kind of thought that Rhea Ripley was going to win. And I, honest to God, thought that that's who they should have gone with. But, I mean, congrats to Bianca Belair because she's come a long way ever since Sam Houston lit a fire under her ass and said, well, I just don't think that she earned this main event opportunity at one of the takeovers and everything. And then she literally told him, she goes, kiss my ass, like yeah. In an interview. And he like tried to defend himself and he made himself seem more like an idiot, which I just think Sam Houston is just a fucking nerd mark. Like
he's a moron. Yeah, for sure.
I do not like him whatsoever. I haven't liked him since day one. Like,
right.
I never cared about him, but then he started like actually showing up on like the interview panels and stuff like that. And I just was like, oh my God, dude, like you are just such a fucking tool. Like, That's all you are, basically. But I liked it. I also was kind of hoping that Tony Storm could have pulled it out because Tony Storm is amazing.
Agreed. I've been a huge fan of her since I first saw her in the Classic. Um, yeah, she's. I mean, that's the thing though about this Rumble. There were so many people that could have won. I mean, when it
Yeah,
came down to the final two, I was like, I'm fine with either one of these people.
yeah,
You know, and that's an amazing feeling that I haven't had in a Rumble in a long time because it's usually like someone I fucking hate and then someone I want to win, or just two people that I don't care about.
right.
You know, so you know, for it to be, you know, two people that I think both deserved it, and you're just watching the match and not dreading the other person going over. Thought it was good. I thought it absolutely stole the show, though. I mean, it even took away from the men's rumble, which the men's rumble I thought they didn't have enough like cameos and things like that in it.
Yeah,
There weren't really a lot. Christian was the best one by far, and I loved what he did out there.
yeah. There's two things I want to bring up too. I am so sick because Naomi did it, and I think several other people did it. What is with this saving yourself, right, from your feet hitting the floor, but then you're eliminated the very next move? Or you don't end up winning it, or you're not at least in the final four or something like that. Like, I don't like ever since John Morrison did it and then Kofi Kingston did it. Now they got to find people to do it. And I'm sitting there just like, it doesn't mean anything unless, you know, they actually do something in the Rumble, which they never do. Like, it's just a spot for it. And I don't understand it. The other one I want to bring up is, who the fuck is Bad Bunny?
You know, I really don't want to get into that, to be honest. No, I mean, not even from a, like, here's the thing is, apparently, you know, Bad Bunny has sold a lot of merch and is pretty big overseas. I don't know if, like, in the U.S. or not, but it's been a good deal for them, man. I don't know a lot about it. I don't know anything about him. I'd never heard of him. But, you know, it's been a good, all I know is it's been a good business deal for them. So,
No, I guess more power to him. I just don't want to see him in a wrestling ring. How about that? Like, he can be talented or whatnot, but don't come in a wrestling ring and team up with Damian Priest, who should have a rocket lit under his ass right now, because does he not look good?
oh, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll be pushed to the moon and it'll be awful.
Well, that
They'll push him too soon. He's a big hulky guy, and I'm sure that Vince will ruin it. But anyway, I don't want to. Let's move on. I don't want to get into all of that.
I got
I did just want to touch on the Rumble a little bit because I enjoyed it. It was WWE, and well, I mostly enjoyed it, and that's super rare, like twice a year tops.
I did enjoy the Rumble myself, the women's Rumble, and I did like the men's Rumble for the most part and stuff. The other stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So
but I like you.
let's get into Ring of Honor.
Let's do it. My
Um,
favorite.
Yeah, man. So, Ring of Honor this week, we're talking 472 is the episode. So it's Ring of Honor 472. You can find it on fight.tv. It's free to watch. Check it out for sure. And this is the end of the round one bracket that we're talking about today. So we've got two matches to finish off round one. We have Russ Taylor and Hot Sauce Tracy Williams. And then we have PJ Black and versus Tony Deppen.
Yes.
Let's start at the top, man. So Russ Taylor versus Tracy Williams. Hot Sauce Tracy Williams is somebody that despite not watching Ring of Honor, I've always kept up with him because he's that guy that even though he's not he's not in the big leagues, everybody knows who he is and he's well respected. Because he's damn good.
Yes.
Russ Taylor, I had not seen a lot of him. I had heard his name, but I can't recall anything specific he's been in. Their opening promos, however, the video packages,
were
Tracy
amazing.
Williams. No. Not to me. I thought Tracy Williams obliterated Russ Taylor. Russ Taylor to me was monotonous. Like he was just I'm Russ Taylor, and I want you to know that I'm very tough.
Well,
And that was how it went for me. I wasn't feeling it. I liked the video package and I thought it was well put together, but his promo did nothing for me. But Tracy Williams I thought nailed it.
that was who I was talking about was Tracy Williams promo. I thought Tracy's was amazing, and he mentioned Lifeblood, and that's funny because you know that show that I told you about that I went to in Atlanta to see Ring of Honor. Well, guess what? That was the formation of Lifeblood,
Oh
where you
nice.
saw them shaking hands in the ring there. Yeah, that was where they formed, and it was Tracy Williams, Mark Haskins, Bandito, Tennille Dashwood, and oh God, what was it? Juice Robinson.
Yeah.
That was who Lifeblood was. And I like the fact that he brought up the history on that. And I like the fact that he said, yeah, we broke up because, you know, our heads were not in the right place and everything. We had the motivation, but just everything just wasn't right and everything like that. I love that history of it. And I thought that his promo and his story and everything like that, I was just like, all right, man, I want this guy to win, you know, the Pure Championship and everything like that. And like you said, he's just so damn good. I mean, you know, when he wrestles, he's believable. He doesn't look like he's putting on a show. He looks like he's trying to win a match, which
Right.
I think comes with that MMA background that he talked about.
Yeah. Um I agree. Everything you just said, I agree. I loved his approach to the package. I mean, and Russ Taylor wasn't the worst promo package I've ever seen, but you can just tell he just wasn't there to me, or the energy wasn't there. You
Right.
know, and if
And I,
you're not, and you're not everybody needs to be Roddy Piper on the mic, but you need to have some sort of edge. You know, if you're gonna be this like quiet, reserved guy, you at least gotta say some things. Like I just thought all the stuff he was saying was like really generic, and maybe that's because there's 16 guys in this, right? There's only so much you can say,
right.
you know, and a lot of people have done an amazing job. So, um, I did note down I love both of their entrance themes. I'm
Yes.
big on entrance music, you know this.
Yes.
Um, both of these guys, Russ Taylor comes out, his entrance music hits immediately. I'm 100 times more interested than I was for the promo because I thought, okay, this fits this guy. I love that. Same thing for Tracy Williams. I really liked their entrances.
Yeah, I liked it too. And again, I like the fact that, you know, unlike when WWE first started doing this, you know, with the no crowds and everything like that, they're not pandering to a fake audience, you know,
Right.
kind of thing. It's
With the
just,
crowd noise piped in.
oh, I know. I can't stand that. I'm sorry. I cannot stand that. So I like the fact that Ring of Honor does not even try to hide the fact that, hey, there's been a pandemic, we've been off and everything like that. I mean, they even mentioned, you know, that the pandemic has probably helped Tracy Williams heal up the shoulder and everything like that. So I like that. And I like the fact that you can actually hear them trash talk when
Right.
they fight because I've always you know, I've always thought that about wrestling. I'm just like, what? Why is it that, you know, no one really tries to trash talk and everything like that? So, in the ring, obviously they do it, you know, in promos and stuff like that. But in ring, like, not enough people do that, in my opinion. Which I understand that kind of because, you know, you're more trying to play to the crowd and everything like that. But you shouldn't look like you're trying to play to the crowd.
Well, once upon a time, and it still gets used for that. This is a little, you know, lifting the mirror or lifting the curtain type thing. But back in the day, and this still exists to an extent, is you have something in wrestling called the Office, and that's basically what they would use that as is it would be hey, I'm gonna shoot you off for a clothesline, but he would yell it at the guy like he was saying, "You can kiss my fucking ass." You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Or it would be like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. All right, we're gonna do a headlock. That sort of thing. You would use it to hold up the illusion and mask the communication between the two workers. Um, this day and age, that's not really used as much, especially not in this setting because you can hear every fucking thing they say,
Oh yeah.
crystal clear. It was a lot more useful when there weren't like 95 mics around catching everything. And then in this arena, there's just like dead silence other than the commentary.
Right.
Um, was Caprice Coleman not on his shit this entire episode? Loved him.
I love him. And hey, dude, I also love Ian Riccaboni.
Yeah.
I've said it. I think Ian Riccaboni is probably the best head announcer in the business right now. That's my opinion, and mine alone. I like his voice. I like this. I like that he's not over animated. I like that he calls the action. And then like you said, I love Caprice Coleman. He is the perfect color commentator, in my opinion.
The two of them are great, and I love hearing Caprice Coleman say Riccaboni.
Riccaboni.
Yeah, I love that. I could listen to it on repeat for 20 minutes. It's just great. Yeah, I don't know if I like him better than Morrow, but he's up there for me. I love Morrow's animated like style, but he almost detracts from the action sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, Anyway, what I thought was interesting in this match is that Tracy Williams actually uses all his rope breaks.
Yes.
Early on in this match, I thought that this was going to be a massacre. But Russ Taylor did hold his own, and he did force Tracy Williams to use all of his rope breaks. And the turning point in the match, I actually loved. He's got Tracy Williams in this like modified overhead wrist lock, right? And there he's got him down. He gets to the ropes. He's got no rope breaks left. Ref can't help him. Tracy Williams flips him out to where he goes on the outside. And this is really the turning point in the match where Tracy Williams is able to capitalize on it. I loved the crossface victory as well. I thought that they told a good story and it was well executed. You can tell there is a significant, I'd say, talent difference between these two guys, but Tracy Williams is just really fucking good.
Yeah, he is. But man, I gotta say, I thought that by far this has been the best matchup in the tournament so far.
It was good.
I just really like the story that they told. I love the fact that they finally used all three rope breaks. So you saw the ropes come into play and everything like that. And once again, the announcers are really emphasizing the rules. They're really making it known that, hey, once this happens, there are no more rope breaks and everything, like you're on your own kind of thing. And I don't want to make it an ROH versus WWE or anything like that, but when you'll never hear rules like that in WWE. You're not going to.
And especially not AEW, because they don't know or care what they are.
That's true. I mean, you're not going to hear it in those organizations. You might hear something similar in MLW maybe, or even New Japan, but those are really the only two. And that's again what the thing. It's the little things that separate ROH from the other products.
Yeah.
And to me, I love the matchup. I love that there weren't 17 different false finishes and everything like that. It was just a straight wrestling match.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with a false finish. But I think that the overuse of it waters it down, right?
Right.
Triple H kind of was the master of the false finish of his era, and he would do it to put the babyface over because they would hit some sequence or land their finish or whatever, and you just know they've got him. And then he was just so good at that kick out at the last second.
Yeah.
Just that effortless, least amount of effort possible, just heel, like him just barely getting the shoulder up at the last second. You have to have an incredibly talented referee to pull that off too. That's not going to hesitate on you, because I've seen that at the indie level so many damn times where there's a near fall and they know that the guy's not supposed to win the match, and so they'll be like 1, 2, 3, and then there'll be a kick out or whatever, and it's just it immediately destroys that suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we saw it in Flatline a couple of times.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember watching Wiggins lose his shit when that happened.
Exactly. So we get the crossface victory here. You called this the best match so far in the tournament. To me, that's Lethal versus Castle. That was my favorite, but this one was damn good. And Tracy Williams is going to move on to face Fred Yehi in the next round.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that's absolutely
good. Once again, Tracy Williams, I think, obviously they're pushing Gresham, and they're still, keeping emphasis on Lethal. But I think Tracy Williams is probably going to become one of the faces of Ring of Honor soon.
That would be smart.
Their main stars.
That would be smart of them.
I would agree. I would give him the title at some point, not the pure title, but the Ring of Honor title, because he reminds me a lot of a combination of Daniel Bryan and Nigel McGuinness, where if you give him that title, he could go on a lengthy run and it'd be like, who can stop this guy?
Agreed.
So
100%. They should. I would be all for that. I would tune in for it. Okay. Last match in round 1.
I can already hear it in your voice. I can see it. If you're listening on audio.
Yeah, if you're listening on audio, you can't see my face, but Stovall can see my face, and he knows exactly what this look is. Okay, listen. One of these guys I am about to bury, and the other one I am going to rave about. Tony Deppen was fucking awful. Okay? He looks like a waiter. He looks like someone stopped. This is my Cornette rant. Sorry, I'm gonna fucking do it 2 in 1 show. He looks like somebody. It looks like they were sitting at a damn restaurant and they were like, "Oh man, this 15-man tournament's gonna be great." And then the other person went, "You can't have a 15-man tournament. You gotta have 16 guys." And they were like, "Oh shit, you're right." And they were like, "Hey, you waiter. Hey, you look like you could wrestle. Come here." I don't mean to shit all over Tony Deppen, right? I'm sure he's done some cool things, but he does not look like a wrestler at all. He is not believable to me at all. And I know in his promo he talked about, Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan and Bobby Fish and all. And I'm just like, you're none of those people.
No,
you're not. He looks like he fucking never graduated middle school, right? Like the dude just does not look anything like what you would see on a program that has thus far been of an incredible caliber. I don't care what he can do in the ring, right? You're not going to sell this to the average person. I don't give a shit. I'm not saying he's a bad worker, right? I'm high enough on the indies and he's low enough in the professional shit that this might even get back to him and I might get a message. But I don't give a shit because I would never book this dude for any reason. Like, I just don't. I couldn't put this dude on a poster and sell tickets.
Yeah.
They they would be like, if I put that guy on a poster and didn't put his name on there, they'd be like, yeah, that guy must be like the owner's kid or something. That's why he's on the show. And I don't mean to just hate on this fucking guy, but it is a disservice to this tournament after watching these other 15 guys come out here and give professional promos, professional appearances, look fucking great doing it. And then this dude comes on and I almost cut it off. Like his promo was ass too.
My wife is the most important thing to me.
It was the worst of the 16 promos by far. I know I didn't like Russ Taylor's. I would watch it 12 times backwards before I would watch this one again. It was literally like the low budget, like church softball league level indie worker who's like, I'm just out here, I want to prove to my family and myself that I'm a great wrestler. And I'm going to go sit with my family in the crowd after the match is over. Fuck off, man.
Yeah, I got nothing more to add on that one. I got nothing more to add on that. God.
Done.
So if you're listening to this on audio, you really need to just go and watch on video because everyone's gonna hear that and be like, "What the fuck was going on there?"
I just tore the whole page out of my notebook and just tossed it. I almost just tossed the whole fucking notebook. Okay, so on the other hand,
Yeah.
I thought that PJ Black was amazing.
Yes.
I thought that I was like, okay, this guy is over. Okay, so you got the waiter from the Olive Garden, and then on the other side, you have this dude who's a fucking shaman from South Africa, and he's fucking green and shit, and he's got a cool mustache, and he's fucking great, and he's got the cool South African accent, and he's talking about fucking running with the Yetis and shit, and I'm like, this dude is fucking great.
Yes.
I was totally entertained, not in the Russo way. I wasn't totally entertained. I was totally entertained. I was sold on this dude immediately. Immediately. I was interested. I was like, I would like to watch this person wrestle.
Well,
I would take one wrestle, please.
Well, you know who that is, right?
Yeah, I know who he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about him there for a minute you didn't know who he was for a minute.
No,
yeah.
I do. I love the fucking packaging. Like, when he was in WWE, I never got that from him. I mean, and that's their fault. You know what I'm saying? But I think he's come a long fucking way, dude.
Oh yeah. In fact, again, going back to the show that I saw in Atlanta in 2019, he fought for the NWA title. He fought Nick Aldis there at that show, and that match was awesome.
Yeah. And I am no fan of Nick Aldis at all. Like, at all. He bores the shit out of me too, and I thought that the two of them had a great match. So, yeah, I mean, this dude is so far removed from Justin Gabriel or whatever from from WWE that it's a different thing. And as an average viewer, I'm interested in what he's doing. I'm interested in what he's talking about. It was great. I did think the whole I'm training somebody thing here was weird. Maybe that will come out later. It's Brian Johnson. It's the guy he's training.
Yeah, he is. I can actually add some story to that.
Okay.
He's so in Ring of Honor before like the pandemic shut everything down. Yeah, he was kind of coming out with him because Brian Johnson is like teetering between a heel and a face right now. He's trying to PJ Black is trying to show him like the ways and stuff like that, trying to show him to be honorable and stuff like that. And then, of course, Brian Johnson's kind of not getting that. So they're kind of trying to start a little bit of a rivalry, and it's a way to try to get Johnson over as well. And Brian Johnson's actually pretty good. In fact, so he's so much better that like I would have said they should have chose him over Deppen.
And they had already done the mentor mentee kind of,
Yeah.
The veteran and the protege story already in two different ways. So I could see why they didn't go with that for a third one. If Tony Deppen had won this match, I would have been like, yeah, we got to come up with some reason not to cover the rest of this tournament.
But he did.
He did not. I made a few notes about the match. I actually really wasn't a huge fan of either of their entrances, not as much as the first two guys. And that wasn't awful. It just, it was whatever. Deppen had some fucking indie ass music. It was like, real fucking indie worker shit is about to happen right now. There was a tag team at Southern Honor last weekend. Now I'm really gonna get myself in trouble. Hopefully nobody's watching this an hour and 10 minutes in, because my inbox will blow up about this. But there was a tag team there. I don't remember their fucking name, because they were really just basically there as jobbers to the All-Star Special, which we can talk more about off mic. But yeah, they came out to Parasite Eve.
Remember the Horizon?
Yeah, and I was like, this is the most indie-rific shit. Like, I hate when people come out, take some fucking music that has nothing to do with their gimmick, and they just they like the song, so they just come out to it, and it was indie-rific as fuck. No one in the audience got it. I watched, people were on their cell phones, and the one guy had some trunks on with baby blue hair, and somebody that was at the show said he looked like if you ordered Brian Pillman Jr. from Wish. It was rough, man. And this is that's the emotion I got when Tony Deppen came out to his indie ass music.
Well, he's James Caleb Kitchen, so send all of your hate mail to him.
Yeah, this is all me. All me. My name's on the screen. I'm not hard to find. I don't give a shit. Okay, so I did have a note here. PJ Black hitting his amazing arm drag. He always does a great arm drag, but I this one was good enough for me to jot it down. The one thing Deppen did that impressed me in the whole match, he did a single leg takedown that had a really nice float over into an STF during the match, and I thought that was really smooth. So I did give him credit for that. Even though he doesn't look presentable, that shit was really smooth and it was really well executed. It was Bret Hart level executed.
Nice.
We actually did get we got an outside dive in this match.
We did,
which was great. I loved the Caprice Coleman with the best line from him in the entire tournament to me so far. He said he looked like Sonic the Hedgehog when he hit him flying through the air, Riccaboni. I fucking died. I wrote the line down. What'd you think about this match?
I mean, it was good. I like you. I probably would have tried to pick someone other than Deppen to be in there. Maybe that was all they could get at the time. I really don't know. But I'm a big fan of PJ Black, man. I like his look that he's got going on. I like his nickname too, his gimmick thing, the Dare Wolf.
That was cool.
Him and everything like that. And I like that, he didn't do too many dives or anything like that. Like we just got one dive.
And it felt special because it was one.
I know, right? Like, Because normally if it was Jay Lethal, there'd be about like 3 suicide dives in a row. So, but I thought it was a solid match for what it was and everything like that. Again, I go back to the commentary. I just think Ring of Honor has the best commentary in the business right now. And yes, that me being an AEW fan, I say that like with confidence. And I love JR. He's the greatest of all time. But just Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman, just they have the chemistry together, and they just have everything down pat. So I mean, I liked it. I don't know if I necessarily would have ended everything with this. I'd have put the Tracy Williams match on last.
Agreed.
That was my one complaint. Was I just thought that the order of the match should have been the other way around, but it was an okay match. And like I said, I just say okay because just like you, I wasn't that huge of a fan of Deppen. But hey, it is what it is. And luckily he did not go over. Luckily it was PJ Black that went over, because I thought about that. Well, I knew, like, the minute I saw the promo, I said, oh God, James is gonna rip this guy a new one. I knew it. When I saw it, when the first line of the thing was, "My wife means so much to me, everything." I'm just like, oh God, oh God.
It was so bad. There's that part in the promo where he's like, well, he might be a great wrestler, but I'm tough. I am tough. I'm real tough. I'm like,
This is kind of one of those parts where, hey, maybe you do need someone to write a promo for you.
bro, that's why they do it. Like, I went to I've been to the Palmetto Academy, and they literally have like beginner level students that are cutting better promos than this dude cut
Oh Lord, that's saying
on Ring
something.
of Honor. Yeah. So that being said, man, I'm ready to wrap this one up. Let's put we put the nail in the coffin on the around one of the tournament, and we've only got there's what 4 matches in round two in the 2 different matches, and then in the semifinals, and then the final. So
Yeah.
we're 8 matches down, 7 to go.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to get to the main event. And apparently, the main event, from what I understand, which is, I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't seen it yet or anything like that. But there's one matchup, though, that I'm looking forward to, and it's Jay Lethal versus Hot Sauce Tracy Williams. And they say that was like the match of the year.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I can't wait to see. There's several matches on this lineup that I'm waiting for.
yes.
Um, and so the next time that we cover this, we're gonna do Jay Lethal and David Finlay,
Yes.
and then Jonathan Gresham. We're gonna get Lethal and Gresham in the same episode again, and Matt Seidel. So both of those sound incredible to me.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. And I, people say whatever about Matt Seidel's promos, and I agree. Half of it makes no sense half the time, but his in-ring work, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's next to top level. And if you really want some perspective on Matt Seidel, go and watch some of his old stuff in Ring of Honor. It's amazing.
Agreed.
So I'm very much looking forward to it. And hey, what I tell you, I told you that this tournament would be different from anything that's on wrestling on TV right now. And I said it was a sports based presentation of it, and that's always what Ring of Honor has been to me.
Yeah.
It's different type of presentation that kind of what I thought AEW was going to be, only with bigger production and stuff like that. And AEW really hasn't turned out that way. I'm not saying that, it's bad or anything, but I just think that when you say to the moon that, oh, I want a sports-based presentation, I want wrestling to be presented as sport and everything like that. Well, I can't take sport with guys breaking out into a musical number or, pouring orange juice on each other or, doing those wedding segments and stuff like that. That's not sports based presentation. It's a wrestling presentation, that, don't get me wrong, but it's not sport. It's
Right.
not it's not focusing on the art of pro wrestling, in my opinion. I'm not saying that there's anything bad with it from time to time, but you can't say that you want a sports based presentation and then present that.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
that's why I wanted to cover this pure tournament, because I said, you know what, this is a sports based presentation. Everyone go and watch it and tell me I'm wrong. And I am the man who consumes more wrestling content than any of you, so I can say that.
You can. You can. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up round one. And yes, absolutely, I agree with you on this. This has been something that's very interesting, and I've enjoyed it. So I'm hoping that some people will watch this and they'll be entertained by it as well, and maybe pick it up and check it out. That's the whole reason we're doing it. Um, I do want to take care of a couple housekeeping items. We can be found now anywhere that your podcasts are heard. We are available on Facebook, we're available on YouTube, and we're available in all these different audio formats. We did finally get up on Apple Podcasts about 2 weeks ago. So all of our episodes are there. Those should air pretty much the same day that they show up on Facebook and YouTube. I'm getting to the point where I'm trying to figure out exactly how to make it show up at the exact same time, because there is a short delay on the audio side as it kind of disseminates out to everybody. But by Monday morning, you should have it. Uh, that being said, definitely check out some of the other podcasts, kind of friends of the show. Check out Superhero Homies right now. By the time this airs, they're going to be wrapping up their coverage of WandaVision. They're doing every single episode in depth. It's really, really good. I've been waiting for that show to come out every Friday. I watch it at 3 a.m. when it hits, and then I refresh my feed all weekend until their review comes out. And then also check out the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. If you want like a breakdown of like kind of the week to week stuff that's going on in wrestling. And I would be remiss if I also didn't mention Caleb Stovall. What do you got for him on SWN right now?
I'm working on something big for SWN. I'm working on getting a brand new co-host. That's in the works, and a brand new presentation of anything. And I'll go ahead and spoil a little bit of it. Let's just say it's going back to the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sure we cannot wait. Caleb, thank you for joining me here each and every week. And as always, this has been an Evolved Review.